A ton of clickbait articles ever since Disney bought Lucasfilm spread propaganda about how Star Wars was a dead and dying franchise after 2005, when Revenge of the Sith left theaters, and that Disney saved it. The funny thing is, these misinforming articles claim this, while forgetting about 3 of the most popular non-movie pieces of Star Wars media that came out in between that time. Things like the massively popular Clone Wars animated series that was on Cartoon Network, The Force Unleashed video game, books, and comic, and of course the Old Republic MMORPG video game, plus the whole other host of other multimedia material, many of which, especially the books, have been consistently on the New York Times bestseller list. There were so many other projects, stories, and plans for Star Wars stories before Disney had even bought it. Star Wars 1313, Force Unleashed 3, Sword of the Jedi, and so on. But what if I told you that there was an actual time where the Star Wars franchise was in decline and falling into obscurity? According to Star Wars Insider, issue 150, after Return of the Jedi brought the classic trilogy to a close in 1983, Star Wars began a slow withdrawal that would last nearly a decade. Fans got 2 Ewok TV movies and the Saturday morning cartoon adventures, Ewoks and Droids. But by 1986, reference to Star Wars were more likely to be about a U.S. military program seeking to defend against nuclear weapons than the adventures of Jedi, rebels, and droids. Exhausted by that titanic effort to get 3 technically complex, hugely ambitious movies made, George Lucas turned to other projects. Lucas Licensing decided it was time to give Star Wars a rest. For the most part, Star Wars receded from fans' awareness. Still, as the decade came to a close, Star Wars began to stir again. In 1989, Lucas Licensing President Howard Rothman began to explore the possibility of restarting Star Wars adult fiction with the help of Lucy Wilson. Publishing director, Lucas was skeptical about demand for new Star Wars novels, but agreed to the plan and helped set a few ground rules. The books would be set after Return of the Jedi, in case Lucas decided to tell the tale of young Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker one day, and no major characters could be killed off. Most publishers passed, dismissing Star Wars as old news. But Bantam Books was intrigued, and in a serendipitous bit of timing, Bantam's Lou Aronica had recently approached Lucasfilm to propose a 3-book trilogy set after Episode 6. Bantam also had an author in mind, Timothy Zahn. In November 1989, Zahn began to work, crafting a lengthy outline for a trilogy of novels. A year later, he turned in the finished manuscript. And in May 1991, Heir to the Empire arrived in bookstores, with Zahn, Bantam, and Lucas wondering if anyone would care. The answer was an emphatic yes. Heir to the Empire took the top spot on the New York Times bestseller list, displacing John Grisham's The Firm. Fans were thrilled by their first glimpse of the galactic capital, Coruscant, embraced new characters, Mara Jade and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and cheered the birth of Han Solo and Princess Leia's twins, Jason and Jaina. Zahn's saga spanned the galaxy, bringing Star Wars back with an appropriately epic storyline. And he also paid close attention to the details, choosing to begin each book with an Imperial Star Destroyer in homage to the classic trilogy. Heir's first run of 70,000 copies were gone within 2 weeks, with some bookstores reportedly selling the title right out of the box. Star Wars was back, and for good. Zahn's novel revealed that the world was eager for more adventures in the galaxy far, far away. But the initial rollout of expanded universe novels was deliberately paced, with no other new adult fiction hitting shelves until Zahn's sequel, Dark Forces Rising, arrived in the summer of 1992. Of course, not to downplay the importance of Dark Empire, the article continues. Fortunately, fans had another return to celebrate. As 1991 came to an end, Dark Horse Comics released its first issue of the 6-part series, Dark Empire, a moody post-Jedi tale. Dark Empire had originally been proposed as a late 80s release from Marvel Comics, the earlier publish of a 9-year run of alternately grand and goofy Star Wars monthly comics. It wound up as a Dark Horse project instead, written by Tom Vetch and illustrated by Cam Kennedy. Dark Empire had some stunning surprises. The Emperor returned from the dead, as did Boba Fett. And while trying to understand his father's fall, Luke Skywalker was ensnared by the dark side of the Force. Dark Empire proved a worthy sequel to the classic trilogy, exploring the Skywalker family legacy in ways that followed logically from Return of the Jedi. Its publication kicked off an almost quarter century in which Dark Horse told hundreds of entertaining tales set in every era of Star Wars history, and proved an exemplary custodian of the saga's comic book past, lovingly gathering and reprinting stories that had come before. Star Wars would not have been what it has been for the last 30 years if it wasn't for Timothy Zahn's Thrawn Trilogy and Dark Empire. In fact, those stories are really the first true modern Star Wars if you think about it. Its impact I could go and make so many videos about it in much more detail. Like, the capital of the Old Republic and Empire would not have been called Coruscant without these books. It would have been called Had Abaddon, I believe, because that was in the original Return of the Jedi script. And there's also a chance it would have been many more years that we would have gotten the prequels. Or we might not have gotten the prequels at all, who knows. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and little fact, and I'll see you guys around.